Well, thank you very much, Mrs. Wifo, of a partner at Radix Legal and Consulting in the UK. Now we have the two presentations from the head of the SEC and mobilizing capital market financing for countries' economic growth. That's Nigeria. I think the panel should just get started. We're trying to finish this within the next hour so that we can take up a lunch break. But the key discussion, the topic for the panel, as we have in the program, page 17, is enhancing long-term fundraising opportunities for infrastructural development for state governments. I don't need to state what the current state of the state governments are, but how do we find a place within the master plan of the SEC and the broader market to fund infrastructural development needs of the state government? 37 plus the FCT. 36 plus 1, that makes 37. So that's quite a lot of work and a lot of money. And the man who will take us through the legislative process that we need to get this done was the man who was here earlier, Professor Koinsola Ajayi, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. Please step forward, sir. This time around, you are not alone. Let's put our hands together for him, please. Managing Partner at Tolaniwo Ajayi Limited. As I said earlier, please take the center stage. And to join him will be the two speakers earlier, before I bring in on stream the other members of the panel. The head of the Securities and Exchange Commission, Munir Guazo, please step forward, sir. Thank you very much. And please sit just on the side of the chairman of the panel. And Mrs. Elizabeth Wifo, please step forward, madam. You've got to step back here and take ownership of your presentation. Ms. Wifo, please, we need you on the podium. Also joining the panelists is Senator Rafiu Adebayo Ibrahim, Chairman, Senate Committee on Banking and Insurance. Thank you. A banker. And the head of the Nigerian Stock Exchange, Oscar Onyema, the Chief Executive, please step forward as well. And also to join the panelists, the Group Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer, Stanbic IBTC Holdings, Mrs. Shola David Boher. And finally, Honorable Aliyu Wadada, former Chairman, House Committee on Capital Market and Institutions. Let's put our hands together for him as well, the final member of this panel. And in very few seconds, I'm just going to hand over to Professor Koinsola Ajayi to take us through this panel. We will appreciate it if we do the panel discussion in 45 minutes, so that the final 15 minutes will be for question and answer. Then, if you permit me, we would like to wrap it up on that note. My apologies. Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, Majority Leader at the House of Representatives. My apologies, sorry, my eyes just skipped that. Please, let's put our hands together for him. Thank you very much for coming. I appreciate it. I was wondering, the empty seats, I thought we calculated. Professor Koinsola Ajayi, would you please take over from me from here? Thank you, we appreciate that.
Ladies and gentlemen, based on existing protocols, I welcome you to this session. Since this panel is between you and lunch, we'll try to be as quick as we can be. And I'll ask the panelists to speak for 7 minutes each, so they may have opportunity to respond to other speakers, and then we go quickly into question and answers. We've heard a lot already today, and what we'd like to focus on now is infrastructural development for state governments. In discussing this, I think the first point to note is the debate as to the importance of state governments in this matter, considering, first of all, that we have a national infrastructure master plan. The speaker spoke earlier, emphasizing the importance of the federal legislature on these matters. And we know there are state governments that believe that some of these laws impugn on their sovereignty. I hope in the course of this discussion we would hear on the extent to which state governments can borrow for infrastructure development, whether state governments can raise money by equity, for how long they can hold the monies, for what purpose they can hold the monies, in what currency they can hold the monies, and the extent of the current regulations that we have on the powers and ability of state governments to raise money for infrastructure. I hope we'd also be able to speak on, for instance, regional projects or infrastructure projects that cost across states. In doing this, I probably would ask the majority leader of the House to begin this discussion.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Koinsola Ajayi and other members of the panel. Well, the topic for discussion, I think, here, I find it very interesting because that was not what I thought we were going to be discussing here, having listened through two very interesting papers. I was thinking that would be the core of our attention. But, well, we'll discuss this one, we must. I had listened to the issue of the presentation of Dr., or should I say Mr. Munir, who hopes to be a doctor by extension when his son becomes a doctor. But I'll try and tie one or two of those issues together with the present with the topic at hand for discussion. The issue of master plan has even given me perhaps more gray hairs than Dr. Munir. On the issue of the governors and the limitations and the laws that may be needed to guide in terms of their involvement in the capital market, I wish some of the governors were here because it's who wears the shoe feels the pinch. And I would have loved for the governors, I know they were invited, but for whatever reason, they're not here, to tell us exactly what the issues are and where the laws need to be tightened. What I can tell you, or what I believe from a federal standpoint, from a legal standpoint, is we cannot talk about the capital market, we cannot talk about the economy and the growth of the economy without actually looking at the constitutional issues and the areas and the structure of government itself. In terms of federalism, are we running a 2- or 3-tier structure? Do we have a vertical structure, a horizontal structure? These are issues that I think are best addressed by constitutional lawyers. For me, if you look at the Constitution, there's a whole gamut of areas that impact on the economy that already reside in the federal government under the exclusive list. But unfortunately, for a lot of us, to be able to impact and stimulate the economy, which is what we're seeking to do here, we have advocated a long time, and we're still advocating that this be shrunk a little bit, and so that we have a system where more powers devolve to the states, as opposed to a strong center. And this, for me, is a major area that needs to be looked at by the National Assembly and, of course, the executive as well, because they have to work together to agree on some kind of format or proper federal structure. I know we have also the issue of infrastructure, the infrastructure bank, which was established by Parliament. It's private sector driven, but it has some kind of ownership structure by the federal government. And I think this is the one area where I think the state governments should be able to plug into within the structure of the bank itself, in terms of raising capital for infrastructural development and other areas. I want to mention or address something that Mr. Munir talked about in his presentation. I want to tie it in with the states and the governors and how they can stimulate their economy through the capital market. A lot of you did mention quite a bit on the ownership structure, that what you sought to do or what you seek to do is to have the federal government, the judiciary, the National Assembly, the executive, or the top echelon of the society take ownership of the capital, take ownership of the master plan, and of course that means of the capital market. I think it should really be the reverse, and I think it should be the reverse. I think the ownership should be bottom up as opposed to top down. I think the ownership should be that of the people, the market itself, because ownership to me means confidence in the market. And I think we in the National Assembly, the executive and the judiciary should only be there to offer a platform for regulation, whereas the ownership itself should trickle down to the people, and thereby you're inputting more confidence in the market itself. I believe there are in the areas, again, let me go back to what I said earlier, where as it concerns the state governments, I would have loved a situation where they were here to tell us what their impediments are. There are several bills before the National Assembly that might open up or ease whatever bottlenecks there are presently. So as far as the issue of pension funds, I don't know how that affects the states. I have always had a different view as to pension funds. I see them as some kind of social security for the people, and I'm very conservative on how you invest pension funds. And as you know, this has been a long debate in even more advanced democracies, where there's a class of people that believe that you should be a little bit more conservative because you run the risk, particularly in the climate which we operate in Nigeria, where pension funds will go up in smoke. So I am a little bit wary, and I will ask that you be, in terms of investment of pension funds, of other people's money, so to speak, in the capital market, especially where you have a market that is not, at least as of now, very stable. So that's my position. That'll be my contribution.
Thank you very much.